Hello YouTube, in this video we're going to fix a bug with the enemy and player lasers, and we're also going to create our second enemy. So let's get started. Alright, as you can see, the enemy lasers disappear when the enemy is destroyed, and the same thing would happen with players if the player is destroyed, and that's not what we want. So to fix that, we could just disconnect the parent port of the instantiate node, as you'll see here. But let's keep our hierarchy clean. I'm going to create a new empty game object called projectiles. And I'm going to put that into the prefabs folder. Back in the enemy canvas, I'm going to create a new game object variable, also called projectiles. Alright, and then in start, I'm going to search for the find method. And we want to type in projectiles for the name, because that's the name of our game object. And we need to make it callable, so we can drag start into it. And then we'll set projectiles based on the value. And we'll rename movement to startup. And then we'll use projectiles to set the parent in the instantiate node. Now if we hit play, you'll see that the lasers are under the projectiles game object. And then we'll just move everything into startup and then connect set velocity and the projectiles nodes together. Let's apply the prefab. Alright, and then we're going to go into the player game object and do the same thing. First we'll need an onStart node. And we'll look for the find node and type in projectiles. And we'll need to make it callable, so we can drag the onStart node into it. And then we'll set the projectiles game object. And then we'll set the projectiles game object variable as the parent. Now if we hit play, let's see how it looks. And everything's appearing under projectiles. And we'll create a group for this called startup as well. Alright, and now we're going to work on creating our second enemy using the other enemy sprite. We'll just duplicate the first enemy and update the sprite to enemy red. Then we'll drag the enemy O2 prefab into the hierarchy. We'll just move it over a little bit so we can see it. And we'll go into the canvas. And we're going to add 2 new floats. The first will be called X speed, and the second will be called Y speed. And we'll update our starting speed vector 2 X value to 2. We'll set X speed to 2 and Y speed to -2. And now we're going to look for update. And then cool down. And we'll connect update to cooldown. And then we're going to set our X speed at the finish of the cooldown. And we'll just have it multiply itself by -1. And that'll basically flip the X speed. And then we'll get the Y speed and use those two values to create a new vector 2. And then we'll use that to set the speed vector 2. And now we'll look for rigid body 2D velocity to set the velocity. All right, let's drag things over a little bit. And we'll create a group called Ping Pong Movement. I couldn't really think of a better name. All right, let's apply. And let's test it. All right, looks good. And that's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to create an enemy spawner, and then we'll duplicate our shredder prefab, and we'll use that to clean up any enemy lasers and enemies that go off the screen. So I hope to see you then.